Hey there, friends. By now, most of you have heard about the law in Washington that's headed to the governor's desk. He is a coward. He is going to sign this into law because he is funded by the anti-gun movement and he does all of their bidding. This man can't think for himself. So the governor of Washington will be signing this bill into place. The bill is House Bill 1240. This is what they call an assault weapons ban. I will use that term in this video because that's the term they use. But you will see, just like they pretend that a boy can be a girl, even though he has something in his pants, that doesn't disappear and his DNA stays the same. They are also taking the term assault weapon and applying it with no logic whatsoever, well outside of the bounds of what they've normally used it for. They are going to call things assault weapons, including parts that can't be weapons on their own, but they are doing that. So again, this just goes to show you that the logic of the far left does not stop just with what's dangling between somebody's legs. They are applying that same stupid, ridiculous logic to firearms. Now, I would like to first point out that they lie a lot. These people are idiots and liars. They state that this is all for safety measures to increase public safety. I want to remind everybody out there, the anti-gun movement has never done anything to promote any kind of safety. None. Banning an item is not equivalent to teaching safety. They have hijacked that term safety long ago, and I have to point that out whenever I see that because it really bothers me, because we work our tails off on the gun rights activist side of things to make people more responsible, to make them safer, to make homes safer, to make children safer as they evolve into responsible gun owners. And the funny thing is, they are now trying to normalize terms such as like. They're saying that assault weapons are like M16 rifles. What an official term that is. So now we're going to say because things are like other things that they can be outlawed. That's preposterous. They also lie about saying that during the previous, quote, assault weapons ban in 1994, that mass shooting fatalities were 70% less likely to occur. You cannot define a negative. So by saying that it's less likely that during the assault weapons ban that they already had, that it was less likely that there would have been shootings. No, that time has historically already passed. So you can't make guesses and speculations based on what's already happened. It either did or it didn't. So you don't have anything measurable. So you're saying that it was less likely. No, you say things are more or less likely going forward. We have statistical data that shows that that is not true. They go on to lie that say, moreover, the legislature finds that assault weapons are not suitable for self-defense and that studies show that assault weapons are statistically not used in self-defense. They are lying. They are lying. I don't know how to define these people more as liars than frickin' liars. AR-15s, if we're going to use the old way that assault weapons were identified, are used almost every single day in self-defense. Again, you can't define a negative. If somebody comes to my door with the intent to rob me and I walk to my door with an AR-15 and that person runs away, that is not a measurable category. In other words, we don't call up and say, hey, somebody just tried to rob me. I use my AR-15, and then they measure that as the self-defense case of AR-15s. They're simply looking at, was somebody shot defending themselves with an AR-15? There are far more crimes that are prevented with firearms, including AR-15s, that no crime ever happens because it's thwarted with that AR-15. That's not a measurable statistic. Yes, they try to measure that in some cases through questionnaires and polls and things like that, but it's not like saying X amount of people have been shot. You can measure that. You cannot measure things that don't happen. They also lie about saying assault weapons are not commonly used in self-defense and that any proliferation is not the result of the assault weapon being well suited for self-defense, hunting, or sporting purposes. So are they implying that everyone who buys an AR-15, or what they call with a much wider net, an assault weapon, are they implying that all those people are potential mass murderers? Is that what they're saying? Because they're clearly stating that they're not used, that they're not commonly used for self-defense, and that any proliferation of it is not the result of the assault weapon being well suited for self-defense, hunting, or sporting purposes. So they're saying we don't use them for self-defense, we don't use them for sporting purposes, and we don't use them for hunting. So they're saying the only category left over is mass shooters. So they're throwing this broad brush on all of us, saying that if we own one, you talk about the epitome of gaslighting. They're saying that if you own one, you are a potential murderer. And finally, I want to point out again to the limp-wristed way that these people like to have their things handed to them. They say the legislature finds that the gun industry has specifically marketed these weapons as tactical and, quote, hyper-masculine. So it's too masculine. So if we were to paint these firearms pink with a little bit of glitter sprinkled on them, does that make them less masculine? Yeah, it does. I mean, no self-respecting hyper-masculine male would buy that gun, right? So does that make it okay? So here again, we're not looking at the people. We're simply looking at the features of a firearm. Because they are marketed as hyper-masculine, that's somehow bad. That's not bad. Be hyper-masculine. We need more hyper-masculine males in this country to thwart these wackos out there like these nutbags writing this bill, because those are the people that I don't trust with a firearm. Now, instead of going through all of the rigmarole of what is going to be banned, the list is way shorter. If I go straight to the back and tell you what's not going to be banned. While I flip there, let's not forget, guys, this is going to the desk of the governor. This is going to happen. Nothing we can do to stop it. If you go all the way to page number 6, where it says assault weapon does not include antique firearms, any firearm that has been made permanently inoperable, or any firearm that is manually operated by, here we go, bolt, pump, lever, or slide action. So think about this, folks. In Washington, if you own a firearm that is operated in any other way besides bolt, pump, lever, or slide action, that gun's going to be illegal. Now, you might be thinking, oh, cool. I heard it's grandfathered. Yeah, oh, cool, it's grandfathered. To those of you out there that think, oh, cool, my guns are grandfathered in, you're not welcome in what we include a Second Amendment activist community. Because if you're thinking, screw the next guy, I got mine, you're part of the problem. We don't need you in this community. If you follow this channel, stop following this channel. Nothing I do will ever apply to you going forward, and probably nothing in the past. So if you're thinking, oh, cool, my stuff is grandfathered, I don't want you watching my videos. I don't want you sharing my videos. I don't want you sending me money. I don't want you in my life or having anything to do with me in any kind of way, because that's the kind of closed-minded, smooth brain thinking that got us where we are now with bump stocks, stabilizing braces, and probably all the way back to 1934. And of course, here we go again with classism. I've always had problems with classism. I don't like the fact that we allow certain people to, for instance, have concealed carry permits without any kind of course or whatever, if they're in a state where the regular people have to have them. What I mean by that is, if you're military, former law enforcement, former law enforcement, and that exempts you from having a permit, I'm not okay with it, because that creates classes of people. I'm all about fairness. Fairness has always guided me. Same thing's happening here. They're not going to make this apply to law enforcement and military, and that's not right. Friends, at some point, we're going to win this battle in the state of Washington. Right now, it's lost. And what I mean by that is, luckily, we have Bruen, and we have the Supreme Court, who has already ruled on things like this. What we've got is we have rogue states right now. I've said this in previous videos, and I said this when Bruen was passed and New York started acting out, that all these other states will copycat all these states that are bending the rules and pushing back on Bruen and doing unconstitutional things, because they're going to see how long they can get away with it. And you know what else? They have no repercussions. This governor knows that he's unconstitutional. All these nutbags in Washington know that this is unconstitutional, who's trying to pass this right now. They all know this. But guess what happens? When it gets slapped down at the Supreme Court level, which it will, nothing happens to these people. They don't get voted out. They don't get penalized. They don't get reprimanded. They use taxpayer money in the state of Washington to fight these lawsuits. And we, at the federal level, are the ones that also spend our taxpayer money to defend this kind of crap. Not that we're trying to defend it, but they're using our money to defend it. So you taxpayers are paying for this. You're footing the bill for your state to fight against you so you can win in court, but they don't care. They're using your money. They're going to drag it out as long as they can. And they're happy to make it hard on that person who has to sue. Because let's face it, somebody has to be wronged before a lawsuit is going to be passed. Somebody has to be that person. And unless somebody like a Gun Owners of America or FPC, unless somebody picks up that lawsuit and funds it, they're going to put a person out on the street. Because no one can afford to fight the state of Washington in court. So let's hope we have some of these gun rights organizations that come forward and fight this thing. And I assume they will. I would imagine Gun Owners of America will be one of the first ones to step to the plate on this one. But that's the problem. No one else ever pays the price. We're the only ones that pay the price. The innocent people and the taxpayers always pay the price and foot the bill on this kind of stuff. These people who are doing these unconstitutional things, they know what they're doing. They know they're breaking the law, but it doesn't matter because nothing will ever happen to them. Guys, this is a waiting period now. This is likely going to get signed by the governor next week. It's definitely going to get signed by the governor, but it's likely going to be next week. So, and this is going to have an immediate effect. They are going to implement this immediately. This won't be some July 1st thing or whatever. And I'm going to send another warning out to you guys. Those of you out there who think that it's okay, because you will be grandfathered in. Those of you that think that that's okay, you got a problem, guys. That's not right. That is not right. Because let me tell you something. If these politicians and these, quote, lawmakers, if they truly felt like all these firearms were dangerous, they wouldn't allow them to be grandfathered. There's a lot of them out there already. There's millions and millions of them out there already. But they're saying we're okay with these millions of guns out there, even the ones being traded illegally on the street. We're okay with that as long as we can infringe upon people going forward, because that's how they get these stupid taxpayers to go along with this and be on their side and make a little bit less noise, because they can get you to be quiet about it because you're getting yours. They're playing you. They are playing you. If you fall into that trap, then you deserve to be in that trap.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
It's over!